on the drive home at 5 with yours truly, Curtis Sliwa. Right? Performing at the Trop on the Atlantic Boardwalk, the old Trump, any number of the casinos that for a while, I mean, they were making money hand over fist. And then all of a sudden, that white elephant, the rebel, that Shamu El Jefe, Chris Christie, felt that he had to bail out, subsidize, complete the job with taxpayer dollars. And then the steady and sudden decline that has led to Atlantic City being on the cusp of having to declare Chapter 11 and go bankrupt and expect the state to put everything back together again. This is what recently Governor Chris Christie had to say about the way Atlantic City manages its affairs.
The Atlantic City government costs 2 to 3 times more to operate than any other municipal government in this state.
And then he went on to say,
they are absolutely incapable, unwilling and incapable of fixing this problem.
Now, Sliwa and Adubato, Emmy Award-winning broadcaster on the PBS flagship WNET and NJTV. Question here is, if they're incapable of handling any kind of a fiscal scenario to bail them out, what did the lawmakers in New Jersey reach as part of their compromise to save Atlantic City?
Well, Curtis, first of all, always good to speak with you. The deal is very simple. They're giving them 150 days to give them one last chance to get their act together. They gave them a $60 million loan. They told them to cut $80 million from their budget. And at the end of that period of time, at the end of that 150 days, the state is either going to say, all right, you're on your own, or the state's going to, frankly, come in and take over. This could have been the first municipality in the state of New Jersey since 1938 to go bankrupt. And truthfully, Curtis, the biggest reason why they didn't want to see it happen, other than the fact that it's Atlantic City and it's supposed to be the mecca of gambling in New Jersey, the biggest reason is if Atlantic City were allowed to go bankrupt, there are other municipalities that would have gotten in line to do this, and then all hell would have broken loose.
So as when Atlantic City, so too others. But is this mayor in Atlantic City going to be able to fiscally meet the responsibilities required in this compromise agreement? Because he seems to have been resistant.
Don Guardian is the mayor down there. I think he's a decent guy. If I were a betting man, and I am, legally betting, of course, Curtis, I would say that the odds are 70-30 that Atlantic City's municipal government does not pull its act together, does not make the necessary cuts, does not make the necessary sacrifices, and ultimately the state does come in. Ultimately the state does take over Atlantic City totally, because they're not going to be able to pull it together. If they were able to do it, Curtis, they would have done it already. If they were able to do it, they wouldn't have been in this position in the first place. If they were able to do it, Christie is right on this one. They wouldn't have been as bloated as they are with their municipal government. But that's the situation in Atlantic City. That's why it's so corrupt down there. That's why they gave away in these contracts to the municipal employees. They gave away the store. Now it's too late.
I noticed even the lifeguards, part-time work for the summer, get a full-time pension. How did that ever come about?
Well, let me tell you something. When the HBO series Boardwalk Empire together, I mean, people think like, oh my God, look at that. Look what happened in the 1930s and the 40s in Atlantic City. That's real. I mean, the mob and Atlantic City and corrupt government all came together, and you ask yourself the question, how did part-time lifeguards, get, those kinds of pensions? That's your answer, is corruption. And because it makes no sense. The taxpayers couldn't afford it. They have lost, Curtis, they've lost 70% of the Atlantic City property tax base in just the last few years. How the hell are you supposed to pay for lifetime pension benefits for part-time lifeguards. It never made any sense. It doesn't make sense, and that's why they're in this position. And the rest of the state taxpayers should not have to pick up the tab.
Now, Steve, all the taxpayers in the state will have a chance on the November ballot to vote on a proposal that would divert up to $200 million in annual casino tax revenue made in Atlantic City towards non-gambling development in Atlantic City, with the idea that you'd have two new casinos that would be throwing coin into this pot, built in northern New Jersey, one next to the Meadowlands racetrack, the Trotter track, and another one in some high-rise that would go up in Jersey City. Why the hell would you build two more new casinos when the casinos in Atlantic City can barely survive?
Well, listen, I'm a North Jersey guy. I'm a Jersey guy overall, and I'll tell you, the whole North Jersey argument is this. The competition's in New York. It's in Pennsylvania. It's in Connecticut. The legalized gambling's all over the place. And the argument is Atlantic City is not attracting enough of those people, and the geography of Atlantic City is what it is, and frankly, the city is not all that attractive. So the argument is, whether it's Jersey City or Newark or the Meadowlands, you have more of an opportunity to attract people in northern New Jersey right now who are going over to Connecticut, who are going to other states, and say New York, has it. You're going to go to Manhattan and gamble there. The fact is, northern New Jersey people are not going to Atlantic City, and the argument is, if you had them here, you can keep the money in the state, and they wouldn't, because they're never going to AC in the first place. That's the argument. But if you ask me right now, the odds are not that's not. I don't think it's going to pass right now, Curtis. I don't think legalized gambling is going to pass in northern New Jersey with the voters.
Final question. The battle between North Jersey and South Jersey is now over what should be officially the breakfast sandwich of New Jersey. Apparently down south they call it a pork roll. Up north where you were raised, the Taylor ham in Newark. And the governor has said, freak all of you. I know about eating. I'm into culinary delights. Through an executive order, I'm making it the Taylor ham, egg, and cheese on a hard roll. I'll have 4 here and 2 to go before I hit the road.
I am not going to dignify, as I never do, Curtis, your comments about the governor and his culinary habits. But I will tell you, I agree with him on this. It is Taylor ham and egg on a hard roll. That's the way it is in northern New Jersey, and should be that way across the state. It should be a unanimous executive order. I agree with the governor.
Oh, you really are a sycophant, toady, and lackey. Oofa.
77 WABC.